What's going on, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you an awesome video, and I'm updating my list on the top roller coasters at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. I once did a top 7 for this park before they had Invadr, but now it's a top 8, and my list has been kind of updated. So, I haven't been in this park since 2014, so I came just a few years before they added Invadr and Tempesto, so unfortunately, I couldn't get to ride those two rides, but the good news is I have ridden most of the coasters on this list, so we're going to be moving on to number 8, Grover's Alpine Express, and the reason why this coaster is in last place is because it's a kiddie coaster. I mean, it's themed to Sesame Street, and I mean, it's good for the kids, but it's not good for the thrill seekers who are looking to ride a thrilling coaster. And if you're a coaster enthusiast watching this video, you may probably ride this for the credit, and that's about it. Number 7 is Verbolten, and this coaster replaced Big Bad Wolf, which was, at one point, the best suspended coaster in the United States. Unfortunately, it was removed and replaced by Verbolten. People love Verbolten, and I'm not kidding. My sister, my dad, they both love this ride, but I'm not the biggest fan. I really do love the theming, though. That's what makes this coaster pretty good. I really like the second half where there's a main drop going on. I don't really like the indoor section for some reason. I don't know, maybe it's because you can't really see the track, I don't know. But overall, this is a pretty fun coaster. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, other people are. And that's why it's at number 7. And I wish Big Bad Wolf, I probably would rather ride Big Bad Wolf than this coaster right now if Big Bad Wolf was still operating. So, yeah, number 6 is Loch Ness Monster. And I know this is, out of the 3 aerodynamics coasters that were ever built at Busch Gardens, this is the last one still operating. It's the oldest, too. This coaster came out in 1978. It was 39 years ago that this coaster started to operate to the public, and its interlocking loops are a very unique feature to this coaster. And a fun fact about the Loch Ness Monster, this coaster is actually the only twin versions of the interlocking loops, and I know this coaster is actually one of the smoothest aero loopers still left in the world. So I know some aero loopers are pretty rough and some are very smooth like this one. And I really did enjoy Loch Ness Monster back in 2014. Number 5 is Invadr, and this is the new for 2017 GCI Family Wooden Coaster, and I know this isn't the best coaster at Busch Gardens, but this is a fun one. This coaster appeals to the families as well as the thrill seekers because everyone is able to ride this fun wooden coaster. There's a pretty fun first drop that goes through a tunnel, some good airtime moments. Overall, this is a smaller coaster for the younger ones. If they cannot ride an airtime machine like Apollo's Chariot, they can ride this ride for the airtime that they want. So, Invadr, really good fit for Busch Gardens, as it is another good coaster for the families, as well as being a pretty good coaster for basically anyone because of the airtime and the overall ride experience, and it's themed to Vikings, so it's a pretty cool themed ride. Overall, Busch Gardens Williamsburg did a great job with this ride. Number 4 is Tempesto, and this coaster is a little ahead of Invadr just because it's a little bit more thrilling. And I know Invadr looks very fun, but Tempesto just looks a little better, in my opinion, despite being a clone. This is like the only cloned coaster at Busch Gardens, so the good news is this is the only clone here, so a lot of the coasters at Busch Gardens are pretty unique, so we're going to move on to the ride experience. This coaster has 3 amazing launches, one that goes backwards, as well as a monster 60-mile-per-hour launch that launches you into this slow motion inversion, which is the top of the coaster. Pretty short ride time, but overall, this is a pretty fun coaster for thrills if you're not expecting to ride a coaster with a lift hill. And if you want to ride a launch coaster, this is it. Now we're getting into the top 3. And number 3 is Alpengeist. This is probably the most underrated B&M invert out there because everyone says, even though it's the tallest, it's one of the worst because of its smoothness. Like, its smoothness level is pretty bad. I don't remember my ride experience too much on Alpengeist at all back in 2014, but I believe I enjoyed it. So overall, I think this coaster looks very fun. Like, B&M inverts are always fun, like Raptor at Cedar Point, the Batman the Ride clones, even the modern invert Banshee. They're all very fun coasters, and the old school inverts like Alpengeist are pretty intense and overall very fun rides. This coaster, after 20 years of operation, still excites the fans that ride it. So, Alpengeist, I hope this coaster keeps operating at Busch Gardens for a super long time. So, we're moving on to number 2, which is Apollo's Chariot. And this coaster looks to be very awesome. I got to ride it back in 2014, and I know this coaster was very fun. It had some very fun airtime moments. I don't remember too much, but I know this coaster has a very strong first drop, several great airtime hills that give you some nice floater air, and overall, Apollo's Chariot is one of the 2 old school B&M hypercoasters that was built in 1999, the other being Raging Bull. As they both had pre-drops, that's how you know that they are the original B&M hypers. So I've ridden both the original B&M hypers, so it's a pretty cool fact about me. So we're moving on to number 1, which is Griffon. And this coaster, I've always loved this ride because of that crazy first drop. And this ride, to me, the drop is even better than Valraven's because you're literally hanging there for even longer of a time than Valraven, and I don't remember you moving super slowly down the straight section between the drop and the drop. So overall, Griffon, very fun dive coaster. It is a little short though, but the 2 inversions are very fun. The first drop is definitely the best part of the ride, and this ride actually does have water brakes. So, overall, Griffon, very fun coaster. This dive coaster definitely is the best coaster at Busch Gardens, and after 10 years of operation, it still excites people today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos.